You know, life has a funny way of throwing curveballs. One minute, you're just living your best, relatively normal life, and the next, you're me, Eleanor Vance, and I'm stuck playing the villain in a story I never signed up for. A story where I'm supposed to be the ultimate nightmare ex-girlfriend, the kind who'd chew you up and spit you out for a shiny new sports car. And my target? Daniel Hayes, a man who, despite my best efforts to publicly humiliate him, secretly holds the key to the most baffling secret of all. He can read my mind. Now, imagine this. I'm standing there, looking at Daniel, and I'm supposed to be sneering, spitting venom. On the outside, I'm saying something like, "Seriously, Daniel? Still doing those pathetic odd jobs? How much can you possibly make? Enough to support me? Please, you're useless." But inside, my brain is screaming, "Oh my God, he's so incredibly strong. Just a little touch, please, a tiny little touch, just to see if he's real." And then Daniel's ears would turn this deep, fiery red. He wouldn't say a word, just adjust his shirt. Not in anger, mind you, but with this slow, deliberate motion that made my breath catch. He'd just look at me, a hint of a mischievous glint in his eyes, and with a voice that was pure gravel and velvet, he'd say, "If you want to be close to me, you can't be close to anyone else." Honestly, my jaw probably hit the floor. This wasn't in the script. The system said he was supposed to be a stoic, suffering hero, not some flirty, mind-reading Adonis. But that was Daniel, always one step ahead, always defying expectations. And that, my friends, was just the beginning of my very strange, very chaotic life with the mind-reading maverick. It was a roller coaster, one that threatened to derail my assigned destiny, but also, in the most unexpected ways, led me to a truth I never saw coming. So, I'd been dropped into this world, into the life of Eleanor Vance, Daniel's current girlfriend, and the system, my ever-present, ever-demanding overlord, immediately filled me in on the backstory. Daniel Hayes, the guy I was supposed to be publicly shaming and eventually dumping, was secretly the illegitimate son of the wealthiest family in A-Town, the Windsors. My mission, as Eleanor, was to latch onto him, ride his coattails to a life of luxury, and then, when he inevitably refused to acknowledge his wealthy lineage, abandon him. The novel, as the system had dictated, was supposed to be about Daniel's rise from rock bottom, fueled by the kindness of the true female lead, Summer Shen. My role was merely a stepping stone, a temporary obstacle to his ultimate happiness. But here's the kicker. Daniel Hayes, the man, the legend, the soon-to-be business mogul, wanted absolutely nothing to do with the Windsors. He scoffed at their money, their power, their influence. He was carving his own path, struggling to get his startup off the ground, enduring the kind of hardship that would most people throw in the towel. And that's where I came in, the supposed catalyst for his lowest point. My job was to be the sharp-tongued, opportunistic shrew who, when the illusion of his hidden wealth shattered, would ditch him in the most public and painful way possible. My cruel words were meant to plunge him into a deep depression, paving the way for Summer Shen, his shining beacon of hope, to swoop in and save him. They'd live happily ever after, while I, the wretched ex, would be left to wallow in a cesspool of regret and envy. A perfect, tragic ending for the villain. Or so the system. One evening, Daniel arrived back at our shared apartment. I was curled up on the sofa, lost in the thrilling suspense of a horror movie. Just as the ghostly figure was about to leap out, the front door creaked open. The sudden noise made me jump, nearly sending my phone flying. There he was, standing in the doorway. In his left hand, a bakery box. In his right, a vibrant bouquet of fresh flowers. My eyes, despite my best intentions, widened with a reflexive delight. I almost sprang up to greet him, a genuine smile threatening to break through my carefully constructed facade. But then, the system's cold, mechanical voice echoed in my head, a stark reminder. Remember your role, Eleanor. You are the materialistic, greedy ex-girlfriend. Maintain character. My momentary warmth vanished, replaced by a practiced scowl. I flopped back onto the sofa, crossing my arms, and glared at him. Where have you been, Daniel? It's almost midnight. I'm starving. I could practically faint, I snapped, the words coated in a saccharine bitterness. Daniel, bless his oblivious, or so I thought, heart, just placed the cake gently on the coffee table. He knelt before me, the bouquet still in his hand, his eyes incredibly soft, as if he were trying to soothe a fretful child. Just took a little longer to buy the flowers, honey. Don't be knotted, okay? He murmured, pressing the bouquet into my lap. Happy 100 days, my love. He leaned closer, resting an arm on the sofa next to my leg. The subtle scent of peppermint on his breath, a scent I'd come to associate with him, sent a frantic flutter through my chest. His gaze was direct, unwavering. His face, sharp and defined, usually held an air of stoic calm. But in the depths of his eyes, there was a warmth that was utterly captivating. Oh my God, he's so handsome. I think I'm going to melt, my mind shrieked, a symphony of fangirl delight. He looks so kind right now. Yet, my outward expression remained a mask of disdain. You actually remembered it's our 100-day anniversary, huh? Other people are at fancy restaurants, eating steak, drinking expensive wine. And you? All you can afford is this cheap cake? I scoffed, my voice dripping with scorn. Oh, strawberry cake, my favorite. He actually remembered, my inner voice cooed, utterly delighted. I glanced at Daniel, expecting some flicker of irritation, a hint of his frustration. But he just smiled, a faint, almost imperceptible curve of his lips. His eyebrows, usually a straight line of seriousness, arched slightly, giving him an air of amusement. It was baffling. What the heck? Is my acting that bad, or is he just incredibly unfazed? I fumed internally. Undaunted, I pressed on, determined to fulfill my villainous quota. You spend all day doing those pointless odd jobs. How much money do you even make? Enough to support me? You really are useless. If I'd known this, I never would have wasted my time with you. Instead, Daniel leaned even closer, his gaze full of warmth. His voice, a low, husky whisper, held a playful hint of challenge. You look so sweet, Eleanor. Ah, he's being so charming. This is dangerous. Playing with fire, Daniel. My throat tightened, and I stammered, Sweet? Your breath stinks. Go take a shower. Don't stand there bothering me. Ugh, why does this script keep me from doing what I really want? Suddenly, Daniel chuckled, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated through me. I stared at him, utterly bewildered. Is he enjoying this? Does he have some kind of quirky sense of humor? All right, I'll go take a shower, he said, his smile still playing on his lips. He gently brushed a hand across my cheek, his eyes filled with a tenderness that made my heart ache. I pouted, feigning indifference. Just looking at it makes me sick. A little later, Daniel emerged from the bathroom, his hair still damp, while I was sprawled on the sofa, a testament to my gluttony. More than half of the cake was gone, a sugary casualty of my internal conflict. His eyes swept over the nearly empty box, then settled on me. I immediately wiped the satisfied grin off my face, replacing it with a practiced scowl. Cheap stuff is always cheap stuff. The yogurt's sour, the cream isn't sweet at all. Who'd eat this garbage if they weren't starving? He's so sweet. I wonder where he bought it. I have to ask him later. My inner voice squealed, a stark contrast to my outward negativity. Daniel's hand, mid-towel drying his hair, paused. He looked at me, an amused glint in his eyes. Really? He said casually.
Let me try. Before I could even process his words, he leaned down, his gentle fingertips lightly holding my chin. He then leaned in close, his warm breath on my face. My brain immediately short-circuited. He lingered for a moment, then slowly, reluctantly pulled away. The amusement in his eyes was unmistakable as he gazed at me, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. It's sweet. Brain, wake up. I'm the villainess. It's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine. Oh, all right. I give up. Can I just stay close to him? This is so confusing. The amusement in his eyes deepened, as if he could hear every chaotic thought swirling in my head. I tried to regain my composure, my villainous persona. Is that so? Well, of course, you'd like cheap things like that. It suits you. My heart was a tangled mess, but I couldn't let my character fall.
Daniel was a senior in college, about to graduate. I was 2 years behind him. To make it easier for his startup and part-time jobs, he and his friends rented this house just off campus. After 2 months of dating, I'd moved in with him. The house wasn't huge, just 1 bedroom. Before I moved in, he slept there alone. But now, he'd given me the bed and was sleeping on the sofa in the living room. Late that night, I lay on the big bed, my mind still reeling from the fleeting moments earlier. My heart was pounding, and I found myself tossing and turning, giggling like a lovesick teenager. Suddenly, there was a soft knock at the bedroom door. Daniel appeared in the doorway, a pillow clutched in his arms, looking a little embarrassed. "I accidentally spilled water on the sofa earlier. Can I sleep in here with you tonight?" He was wearing a simple white t-shirt, and I could see the outline of his strong build. My eyes were instantly drawn to his confident stance. He looks so fit. I wonder if he works out a lot. I'd love to see his workout routine. I subtly swallowed, maintaining my cool demeanor. "On what grounds?" I asked, my voice ringing with mock authority, as if I were the rightful owner of the house. Daniel didn't seem flustered. He thought for a moment, then, to my utter shock, gave a subtle, confident gesture with his hand, hinting at his strength. I was momentarily stunned by the sight before me. He didn't say another word, just took my hand and gently placed it on his firm arm. On the grounds of my strength. My pupils dilated. My hand, seemingly of its own accord, lightly squeezed his arm. Wow, this is amazing. My life is complete. Daniel raised an eyebrow, his eyes sparkling with amusement. He leaned closer. "So, what do you think?" I tried to keep my voice steady, my composure intact. "It's passable, I guess. Only your face and strong build are acceptable." Oh my God, he's so solid and firm at the same time. It feels amazing. If anyone saw this, they'd be utterly distracted from their duties. I cleared my throat, adding, "But your bicep muscles need more work." Daniel's ears turned crimson. He squeezed my hand gently, his voice a husky whisper. "Since you've held my hand, you can't hold anyone else's." Oh my God, he's so innocent and adorable. It's too much. Can I just hold his hand a little more? Finally, I agreed to let Daniel into the bedroom. After all, it was technically his house, and we were a couple. Sleeping in the same bed was perfectly normal, right? And of course, I, Eleanor, had absolutely no ulterior motives. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, placing a tiny stuffed rabbit in the middle of the mattress. He looked up at me, his eyes calm, yet with a hint of a smile. "Don't worry, I won't cross any boundaries." Ugh, why be so polite? Just say it directly. Wouldn't that be better? My heart sank a little in disappointment, but I kept my face a mask of cold disdain. "Good that you know your place." I turned my back to him, huddling near the inner edge of the bed. There was a wide space between us, easily enough for another person, a female lead perhaps. This bed really was a bit too big. How can I subtly get closer to him without being too obvious? I thought, my mind a jumbled mess. Then I felt a slight movement behind me.
Daniel was shifting closer. His broad shoulders created a comforting presence beside me, and his warm breath brushed against my neck, making my entire body stiffen. I didn't dare move. What the heck? Why am I suddenly so shy around him? But thankfully, he didn't make any further moves. I let out a silent sigh of relief and carefully turned my head. Daniel had closed his eyes, his expression peaceful, as if he'd already fallen asleep, and his earlier movement was simply unconscious. Relieved, I rolled over to face him. He really was the male lead, all right. Even in his sleep, he was breathtakingly handsome. I quietly admired him, my eyes tracing every perfect feature: his eyebrows, his straight nose, his gently pursed lips. Wait a minute, get it together. I'm just the villainess. Suddenly, I flinched, quickly pulling my hand back. But at that exact moment, a strong hand gently took mine. Daniel's eyes were open, and he held my hand, his gaze deep and unreadable. "Sweetheart," he murmured, his voice low and charming. "If you keep holding my hand, I'm afraid I might get too comfortable." I froze, my brain completely rebooted. Wait, did he just call me sweetheart? What kind of gentle teasing is this? This is too much. My whole body flushed, feeling as though I had a fever, and my face was undoubtedly as red as a ripe tomato. Daniel still held my hand, even as I struggled, unable to break free. I quickly blurted out an excuse. You make too much noise when you breathe. It's distracting." Daniel raised an eyebrow, loosening his grip slightly. "Really?" "Of course. Why would I lie to you?" I tried to regain the aggressive air of a villainess, seizing the opportunity to continue. "Letting you sleep in here was already an act of kindness. I didn't expect you to make so much noise. It's so rude." I feigned anger, pulling the blanket off and standing up. "Fine, I'll sleep outside. This room is all yours." "I can't stay here. Something's definitely going to happen if I..." Just as I got up, I felt a tug on my wrist. Daniel gently pulled me back towards him, as if I weighed nothing. Before I knew it, I was nestled securely in his arms, his strong arm wrapped around my waist, holding me so tightly I couldn't move. His face was inches from mine, his warm breath enveloping me, allowing me to hear the powerful beat of his heart. But he wasn't even asleep. I knew he was faking it. He's such a good actor. That's the sound from the next room," I quickly retorted, glaring at him angrily. "It's all your fault for renting such a cheap house. The soundproofing is terrible." I lightly tapped his arm. "Let go. You said you wouldn't cross any boundaries." Daniel chuckled, his low voice murmuring in my ear, a hint of teasing. "I didn't cross the boundary, Eleanor. I just brought the boundary closer to you." I looked down, noticing the tiny stuffed rabbit squeezed between us. It was now so distorted, it barely resembled a rabbit. Calm down, calm down. He's the male lead. He doesn't belong to me." Silence descended. Daniel watched me for a long time, his eyes deep, as if he was struggling with something. I thought he was about to do something surprising, but instead, he sighed softly and gently buried his head in the crook of my neck. Suddenly, I felt a gentle pressure on my shoulder. "Ow!" I cried out. "What was that? Did you nudge me?" Daniel didn't answer. He just blew a warm breath on the spot he'd nudged, his voice low, with a hint of helplessness and tenderness. "You're special to me, Eleanor." Did he just say I'm special? Oh no, this is completely off script. According to the original plot, there was no real affection between me and Daniel. It was all about me being a malicious, materialistic villainess who constantly insulted him. In the original, Daniel always maintained a cold, silent demeanor, never paying me any mind. But now, he was clinging to me, little by little. What was going on? Was this some kind of hidden perk? But it didn't seem so bad, actually. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion. The more I thought, the more tired I became. Finally, unable to resist any longer, I fell asleep in Daniel's arms.
When I woke up again, it was early morning. I slowly dragged myself out of bed, feeling mentally exhausted. I'm supposed to be a wicked villainess, so why do I still have to suffer through 8 a.m. classes? God, this is so unfair. From now on, I'm never calling you God again. Daniel was already gone, but he'd left a small note on the table. Breakfast is in the microwave. Eat before you go to class. Don't go on an empty stomach. I chuckled. He really was a caring mom. I quickly washed my face, devoured the breakfast, and, spurred by the fear of being marked absent, rushed to class just before the bell rang. In class, the professor droned on, while I yawned repeatedly, nearly collapsing onto my desk. Towards the end of the class, it started to rain heavily. My phone buzzed. A message from someone named Liam Windsor. "How's the work coming along? I want all the project documents within 3 days. Don't forget what you promised me. If you delay any longer, you won't get a penny." Liam Windsor, Daniel's half-brother, the antagonist in the novel, Daniel's perpetual rival. Not long ago, he'd sought me out, asking me to steal Daniel's startup project documents. He promised me $5 million if I succeeded. According to the original plot, I'd agreed and completed the task. Then Liam would use the stolen documents to launch his own project before Daniel, delivering a crippling blow to Daniel's nascent career. Although Liam's plan would ultimately fail, my actions would irrevocably sever my relationship with Daniel. I frowned, looking out at the blurring rain outside the window. My heart felt heavy. My role as the villainess was finally coming to its designated script moment. The dismissal bell rang. I stepped out of class, just as I pressed send on my reply to Liam. Suddenly, a panicked shout came from behind me. "Eleanor, who were you just texting?" I rolled my eyes. I didn't even need to turn around to know the owner of that voice. Hannah Lewis, a minor character in the novel, a classmate and Daniel's neighbor. She'd secretly harbored a crush on him for years. I rubbed my ear. "Could you lower your voice a bit? You're so loud." Hannah ignored me, reaching out to snatch my phone. I deftly dodged her, making her stomp her foot in frustration, hands on her hips, glaring at me. "I asked you, who were you just texting?" I smiled, deliberately deflecting. "Do you live near the ocean? You're so free." "Was it Liam Windsor? Don't think I didn't see you," she growled, her eyes fixed on me, her voice cutting. "Are those project documents related to Daniel?" I raised an eyebrow, my voice cold. "What's it to you?" I turned to walk away, but Hannah immediately blocked my path. "You know Liam doesn't have good intentions, so why are you still contacting him? Are you taking his money and betraying Daniel?" I paused, glancing at her. I had to admit, Hannah Lewis was quite intelligent. Just a small clue, and she'd already guessed the truth. "Or," she sneered, her voice dripping with scorn, "are you dating Daniel and stringing Liam along? Eleanor, do you think that just by pretending to be an innocent, naive girl, you can fool everyone? Daniel might fall for it, but I won't." My short reply only added fuel to the fire. Hannah Lewis's face turned crimson with anger. She stomped her foot on the ground, furious. "Eleanor!" I flinched, quickly grabbing her arm to stop her already thinning hair. "Calm down. I'm not making fun of you," I said, my voice filled with what I hoped was genuine goodwill. "Seriously, I think you're right." I paused, shrugging. "But even if he breaks up with me, it has nothing to do with you, right? We're both just supporting characters. Why make things difficult for each other?" Hannah's face grew even redder with rage. Her hands trembled. You! "All right, all right. I sighed, giving in. I'll shut up, okay? Suddenly, Hannah's angry expression transformed in a flash. Her face lit up, a radiant smile blooming. She looked into the distance, waving excitedly. Senior Hayes! My eyes widened. Didn't she just call him Daniel a minute ago? Now it's Senior Hayes. She really is an expert at secret crushes. Her emotional acting skills aren't bad. Daniel, holding an umbrella, emerged from the heavy rain. Hannah rushed towards him, her smile brimming with hope. Senior Hayes, do you have class here today? Daniel shook his head, his gaze casually sweeping over her, then settling on me. I'm here to pick up my girlfriend. Hannah's smile faltered instantly. Senior Hayes, she began, trying to suppress her emotions, her voice dropping. Even though this might be inappropriate, I need to warn you, Eleanor isn't as simple as you think. She turned to me, her eyes filled with suspicion. She's been in contact with the Windsors, so even though you two are dating, I think you should be careful. Seriously? Why say this right in front of me? At least be a little more discreet. Daniel looked at me, his gaze calm, unwavering. I immediately crossed my arms, maintaining a casual pose, but my heart was racing. What are you looking at? Do you believe what she says? Am I your girlfriend, or is she? Damn it, when people feel guilty, they always use anger to hide it. Sorry, honey, I didn't mean to get mad. I'm just a little nervous. Daniel unexpectedly smiled, nodding at Hannah. Thank you for your concern. You're overthinking it. Hannah stood there, bewildered, unable to react. Daniel simply walked past her, coming straight towards me. I was surprised. Wow, it ended so quickly. I didn't even get a chance to defend myself. Are you hungry, Eleanor? He asked softly, standing in front of me. Let's go eat. You really don't suspect anything? I asked, my thoughts wandering. Otherwise, I'd feel really guilty. I was so lost in thought, I didn't even notice when Daniel gently took my hand. He turned to me, asking, "What's wrong?" I opened my mouth to speak, then stopped. Eleanor, you can't be soft-hearted. Remember, you're the villain. Immediately, I lifted my head, puffing out my chest, adopting an arrogant air. It's raining so hard. How can we walk? My Gucci shoes are expensive, $10,000. What if they get wet? I pointed to the empty space in front of him. Carry me. Eleanor, don't be so unreasonable, Hannah Lewis shouted angrily. Senior Hayes, she treats you like this. Aren't you going to break up with her? Daniel didn't say a word. He simply knelt down in front of me, patting his shoulder, inviting me to climb on. No way! How can he be so obedient? Despite my surprise, I pretended to be casual and climbed onto his back. Hannah Lewis was so angry she couldn't speak. Senior Hayes! Daniel stood up, his voice light. You don't need to worry. She's my girlfriend. She can do whatever she wants with me. Oh my God, he's so head over heels. The rain slowly tapered off, leaving only a gentle drizzle. I lay on Daniel's back, one hand holding the umbrella, the other unconsciously gripping his arm. I could feel the firm, elastic strength of his muscle. He really was strong, as expected of the male lead. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, a complete sense of security. I want to feel how strong he is again. I almost drooled. Good thing I wiped it in time. What are you thinking about? Daniel's low voice, tinged with barely suppressed amusement, suddenly broke through my thoughts. I flinched, about to say nothing, but instead blurted out, I'm thinking about how useless you are. You can't even afford a car. It's raining so hard, and you make your girlfriend carry the umbrella? It's infuriating. I wanted to slap myself a few times. Daniel just chuckled, showing no signs of being offended. Just wait, Eleanor, he said simply, his voice gentle but firm. Soon, I won't be useless anymore. I deliberately leaned my head against his shoulder, my voice mocking.
My youth isn't meant to be wasted waiting for you. I really want to wait, but something won't let me. Sorry, Daniel. Perhaps due to the immense psychological pressure, or perhaps due to the cold wind, I developed a high fever when I got home. Daniel didn't leave my side, taking care of me all night. When my fever broke, he still wasn't at ease, bringing his work home to stay close to me. 2 days passed like this, while Liam Windsor kept sending me incessant texts, urging me on. Finally, on the 3rd night, when Daniel was asleep, I quietly snuck out to the living room. I opened his laptop and typed in a few numbers. The screen flashed, "Incorrect password." I thought for a moment, then, half-heartedly, tried another sequence of numbers. The screen unlocked. My jaw dropped. The password was actually my birthday. A sudden sense of unease welled up inside me. If I went through with this, Daniel and I would truly have no chance. He would hate me to his core. But if I didn't, the plot would deviate. Who knows what the consequences would be? Would this world collapse? I tried calling the system, but still received no response. Ever since I arrived in this world, the system had always been present in my mind, forcing me to follow the original plot. It used to respond and chat with me, but about a month ago, its responses became less and less frequent, until now it was completely silent. Was it broken?
As I hesitated, Daniel's laptop screen suddenly flickered. For some reason, I opened a message from a girl. The sender was named Summer Shen. "Hey Daniel, when are you coming to the studio? You haven't been here for days. The team and I really miss you. We just made great progress on the program. Everyone's so happy and waiting for you to come back and celebrate. Summer Shen." So, that was the female lead, Summer Shen. I looked at her profile picture, a selfie, a round face, big, round eyes, looking both adorable and gentle. She and Daniel really did seem to be a perfect match. My heart felt like it was being squeezed, a suffocating feeling spreading through my chest. My fingertips trembled uncontrollably. Lowering my head, as if following a predetermined script, I took the USB drive from my pocket, gripping it tightly. When I returned to the bedroom, Daniel was still asleep. I gently lay down beside him, trying not to make a sound. But he seemed to sense something, abruptly reaching out and pulling me into his arms. His arm tightened around me, as if he wanted to hold me as close as possible. He didn't open his eyes, his voice tinged with weariness and tenderness. "Can't sleep, Eleanor?" The faint scent of peppermint from him made me feel relieved. I gently nodded. His warm hand rested on my shoulder, gently patting my back as if comforting a child. I felt my eyes slowly blurring. "Daniel," I whispered, not saying anything more, just repeating his name softly. "I'm here." I slowly closed my eyes, my heart heavy. "I'm sorry. You're going to resent me, aren't you?" The space was quiet, only the steady breathing of both of us. A long moment later, his arm around my waist suddenly tightened, as if to confirm something. His voice, very soft, like breathing out a long-held secret, whispered, "Eleanor, I love." On Saturday, Liam Windsor and I met at an upscale restaurant, just as the plot dictated. Today, Daniel would also appear here to meet with investors. He would accidentally discover my scheme with Liam. I would then use that opportunity to confront him, and then definitively break up with him. Liam sat opposite me, legs crossed, his face a mixture of smugness and the usual unpleasant look. "I've seen the documents you sent me. They're very good. The money will be transferred to your account on time." I nodded dismissively, looking around idly. Good. He probably didn't expect that the person closest to him would betray him for just $5 million, huh? Yeah, serves that lowlife right. He's just an illegitimate child, daring to compete with me. Ha! This idiot is truly beyond saving.
Liam's eyes lingered on me, a hungry glint in them. He slowly said, "You're smart and quite attractive. Why don't you consider following me? I can give you an extra $1,000,000. I'll give him a look that says I'm not amused. I feigned annoyance, my voice whiny. So, in your eyes, I'm only worth $1,000,000? I'm not happy about that. I need to hold back. This is the fate of a money-hungry villainess. Liam shrugged, his attitude condescending. What else can I do? Who told you that you were involved with Daniel Hayes before? For you, this price is already high. Ugh, I want to tell him off so badly. Suddenly, Liam's eyes lit up. He looked behind me, then burst into a mocking laugh. Oh, what a coincidence! Daniel Hayes, you're here today. I didn't expect you to be able to step into such an upscale restaurant. I flinched, clearly feeling a deep, watchful gaze on me from behind. Eleanor, Daniel's voice rang out, making me stiffen. I turned, my eyes meeting his familiar figure not far away. He reached out to me, his eyes firm. Come here, let's go home. Behind him, Summer Shen stood, dressed in a pristine white dress, her eyes curiously looking at me. My heart felt torn by a deep wound, a suffocating feeling spreading through my chest. My fingertips trembled uncontrollably. I'm not going back to that shabby rented house with you. I clutched my hands tightly, my nails almost digging into my skin to suppress my emotions. Daniel, don't you get it? I've made a new choice. But he seemed not to hear. He took another step closer, his eyes firmer. Come here. Liam burst out laughing. He reached out and provocatively draped his arm over my shoulder. I instinctively wanted to push him away, but ultimately held back. Daniel Hayes, aren't you very confident? How can you not keep your girlfriend? Liam's mocking laughter echoed, making me want to scream with frustration. Actually, you're right. He shrugged, continuing his taunts. No money, no power, dirt poor like you, who'd want to be with you? How about this? He smirked, his face full of arrogance. If you kneel down, bow 3 times, and admit you're a humble, illegitimate child, I'll consider giving you a few million. What do you say? I stiffened, clenching my hands. I had to exert all my strength not to lash out at Liam in that moment. What else is this idiot going to say? Even a single strand of Daniel Hayes's hair is worth more than you, and you dare to open your mouth and talk nonsense. Just wait until Daniel takes over the entire Windsor family's assets, then you won't have a chance to babble any.
Daniel's eyes were icy, sharp as a knife. Without a word, he strode forward, firmly taking Liam's arm that was resting on my shoulder and moving it away. Immediately, Liam's shocked cry echoed through the restaurant, drawing all eyes to us. Liam's face contorted in pain, groaning, "Daniel Hayes, what are you doing?" Daniel looked at him coldly, his voice low and sharp. Because he wanted power, my father abandoned his wife and children. But you don't even know you're an illegitimate child, a third wheel no one needs. That's right. Does he not know what self-respect is? With that, Daniel released his grip on Liam, who stumbled backward. Then he turned back, took my hand, and pulled me away, not saying another word. A hint of panic flashed across Summer Shen's face. Daniel! But Daniel seemed not to hear. He pulled me along, his steps hurried, unwavering. He must be furious, I thought. But how can someone be so angry and still look so handsome? Daniel, I struggled, let go of me. He remained silent, offering no reply. My hand hurts. Hearing that, Daniel finally stopped. I seized the opportunity to pull my hand free from his. Let's end it here, I said, coldly. But his eyes were sharp, as if he'd already guessed my intention. He replied firmly, "No." I looked directly at him, my voice devoid of emotion.
Break up. I've made it very clear. I'm not going to continue living a poor life with you. His eyes wavered, but his voice was firm. You're lying to me. I scoffed, trying to hide the pain. You're too naive. From the beginning, I knew about your relationship with the Windsors, which is why I approached you with that intention. Otherwise, with your impoverished appearance, why would I be with you? My heart ached, as if something within me was silently breaking apart. I turned away, trying to control my trembling voice. Who knew you'd be so foolish as to refuse that money? In that case, I don't need to waste my youth by continuing to be with you. Behind me, I vaguely saw Summer Shen running after him. I turned and walked away, leaving behind a casual, "Take care of yourself." But before I could get far, my hand was pulled back again. Daniel stood there, his shoulders slightly trembling. His voice was hoarse, tinged with pain and pleading. "Don't go, okay?" I bit my lip, closing my eyes to hide my weakness in that moment. When I opened them, I forced myself to be the cruel villainess the script demanded. No. I turned back, forcing an arrogant, cold expression onto my face. In a flash, I stepped close to him, giving him a quick, dismissive gesture. "For you," I said, my voice sharp with sarcasm. "A final goodbye." Then I turned and walked away, leaving behind a silent thought echoing in my mind. Don't ever forget me, Daniel. The following month, I lived in a daze, adrift and directionless. Apart from attending classes during the day, I mostly curled up on my dorm bed, my eyes constantly red and swollen. I dared not look at anyone, nor did I want to see anyone. My roommates clearly disliked me. They often whispered behind my back, their cruel words easily reaching my ears. Is that the girl who was famous on the school forum? Yeah, that's the one who dumped her poor boyfriend and cheated on him with a rich kid and got caught red-handed. I can't believe it. I used to think she was pretty, but it turns out she's just a disgusting gold digger. She had such a handsome boyfriend, and she didn't want him, but she cheated with an ugly guy? I just don't understand. As soon as the words died down, the whole room erupted in laughter. I yanked the bed curtain shut, the sudden noise making everyone jump. They immediately fell silent, pretending nothing had happened, each returning to their own tasks. The day after I broke up with Daniel, an anonymous person posted the video of the restaurant scene on the school forum. The video quickly gained attention, sparking a heated debate. I wasn't surprised. This was exactly the first trial the plot had set for my wicked villainous role. But then, as things began to spiral out of control, the school forum was suddenly hacked. When the system was restored, all videos and images related to that evening were gone. Even so, many people still recognized me. The probing glances and the insulting whispers continued to surround me. I pretended not to hear anything, trying to stay calm. I got out of bed, quickly washed my face, put on a hat, and pulled a mask up high, then hurried out of the room. Lately, Daniel seemed to be much busier. I secretly hid behind a green tree outside his studio, watching his every move through the large glass window like a stalker. When he worked, he always showed deep concentration and seriousness. Occasionally, he would lower his head in thought or discuss something with his colleagues. Not long after, Summer Shen walked out, carrying a plate of cut fruit. She smiled, saying a few cheerful words, and immediately, everyone stopped working and gathered around the fruit plate. Daniel remained seated, seemingly unconcerned. Summer Shen looked at him for a moment, then took a few pieces of fruit and gently placed them beside him. Under the warm yellow lights, laughter and playful chatter filled the air, creating a surprisingly harmonious and warm scene. That was the life I had never been able to share with him: youthful passion, effort, companionship, and sweet shared moments. All of it belonged to them. All I had was gloom and distortion. If I watched any longer, I'd probably cry from envy. I pulled my hat lower, preparing to leave, but at that moment, Daniel seemed to sense something. He suddenly turned his head and looked directly towards me. I flinched, quickly taking a step back, not noticing the step behind me. I lost my balance and fell backward, landing hard on the ground. Ow! I cradled my bottom, sitting there for a long time. Just as I was about to get up, a slender hand appeared in front of me, every finger clearly defined. His low voice rang out, "Does it hurt?" I deliberately rasped, feigning unfamiliarity. "Hey, handsome, do you have any unused bottled?"
Of course, he said, sounding like he was trying to suppress a laugh, his voice full of hidden meaning. Do you want to come home with me? Go home? All the bottled water is at home. Come with me, and I'll even help you sell it. He paused, his voice dropping. Okay, Eleanor? I realized he'd known it was me all along and hadn't said anything. All that acting was a waste of time. I stood up, annoyed, and tried to walk away, but my movement was too strong. The spot where I'd fallen throbbed. I winced. Daniel reached out, intending to check on the spot. Let me see if it's swollen. Hey, what are you doing? I jumped up, my face red. What's our relationship now? Is that something you can just casually check, you rogue? But I like it when he's caring. His hand froze in midair. After a few seconds of silence, he sighed softly and knelt down in front of me. Climb on, I'll carry you. The sky was completely dark. Only a few scattered people were left on the street. I lay on his back, feeling truly relaxed for the first time in a long while. My sweetheart has gotten so thin after just 1 month apart, Daniel said softly, his voice full of concern. I secretly reached out and felt his arm. Thank goodness he's still strong. I can feel how strong he is again. I then remembered I needed to maintain my image. Don't misunderstand, okay? I just happened to pass by today. Daniel walked slowly, replying casually, And I only agreed to let you carry me because I fell and couldn't walk. Don't flatter yourself. You can't tell anyone you saw me here today. Otherwise, I won't let you off the hook. Seriously? Are you a broken record? Do you know anything else besides Daniel paused for a moment, then slowly said, I miss you. Oh, my heart aches. I miss you too, my sweetheart. I cleared my throat, forcing myself to sound tough. Don't think that just because you say that, I'll get back together with you. I'm living a great life now, even happier than when I was with you. You haven't been eating properly lately, Daniel unexpectedly asked, his eyes scanning me with concern. You've gotten thin. What do you know? I retorted. I'm on a diet. For the rest of the way, we were silent. Neither of us said another word. When we reached the dorms, I turned to leave, but Daniel suddenly pulled me back. His voice was low, gently whispering in my ear. Can I come find you? No, I refused firmly. We've broken up. What if I miss you? He sounded like a big, vulnerable puppy. I want to give him a hug right now. I turned my face away, coldly saying, What's that got to do with me? To be honest, I only came today to see how you were doing. Daniel looked at me, his eyes deep. To see how I was doing? In other words, you still wanted to see me. I glared at him. Daniel, you're pushing it now. Without a reply, he suddenly reached out and gently moved my mask down. He cradled my face in his hands, examining every detail. Why are your eyes so swollen? The dim light made me wonder how he'd noticed. I avoided his gaze, snapping, What's it to you? Daniel said nothing. His arms suddenly wrapped around me, pulling me into a gentle embrace. He lowered his head, gently resting his forehead against my neck. I pushed him gently. What are you doing? Let me hold you for a while. His voice was muffled, almost pleading. Just for a while. I stopped pushing him away.
A long moment later, Daniel softly said, "Almost." His voice was comforting, yet firm. "Just wait a little longer." I frowned, sensing that this wasn't simple. "Daniel," I asked, "do you believe that everyone has a predetermined destiny?" "I do." He held me tighter, whispering, "But I believe even more that I can change destiny." Something was very wrong. He knew something, didn't he? He didn't answer. He just let go of me, looking at me deeply, seriously. "From now on, don't secretly feel sad alone anymore." I was stunned. "Ha, me? Secretly sad? Ha, ha, you're joking, right? How could I be sad? Ha, ha." "I'm not talking anymore. I'm sleepy." I turned to leave, but before I could get away, Daniel unexpectedly leaned down and gently touched my eyes. He gave a faint, satisfied smile. A tender moment. It truly made me want to cherish. The following month, my mood was heavy, as if a huge stone was pressing down on my chest. Daniel's words kept replaying in my mind. Change destiny. What destiny did he want to change? Wait a little longer. What was he waiting for? A vague sense of unease rose in my heart. My intuition told me that his words were related to the system, but for over a month, I'd called the system countless times and received no response. What exactly had happened? According to the plot, at this point, Daniel should have been completely disillusioned with me. The next part would involve him gradually opening up, thanks to the companionship and encouragement of the female lead, Summer Shen. But currently, looking at his attitude, it seemed he was still blindly in love with me. On the surface, the plot seemed to be on track, but in reality, it seemed to have derailed a long time ago. I thought and thought, but couldn't figure it out, my mind a jumbled mess. That night, I tried calling the system again, but before I could do anything, my roommate suddenly opened the door and announced loudly, "Eleanor, someone's looking for you downstairs." Looking for me? I was about to ask who, but seeing my roommate's impatient expression, I kept silent. Was it Daniel? The thought sparked a flicker of hope in my heart, and my steps quickened because of it. However, when I reached downstairs, I didn't see anyone. The streetlights had broken at some point, and the surroundings were dark and cold. Just then, my phone screen lit up. It was Daniel calling. I answered. "Hello?" "Eleanor." His voice was ragged, his breathing uneven, as if he'd been running very fast. "I'm coming to find you right now." His voice held a hint of excitement. "You want to see me? Aren't you downstairs?" I began to speak, but suddenly felt someone lunge from behind. A cloth was gently placed over my mouth. My phone dropped to the ground, its screen shattering. I struggled, but my strength slowly ebbed. My vision blurred, and I completely lost consciousness. Click. A sound like an electric current flashed in my head. Immediately after, a familiar mechanical voice. "Host, the system." I gasped, my eyes wide open, but the sound suddenly vanished. The space in my mind returned to silence, as if what I had just heard was merely an illusion. Collecting myself, I found myself with my hands gently bound, sitting in the passenger seat of a moving car. "Liam Windsor?" I stared at the driver in disbelief. "Why are you doing this? Is this a kidnapping? Don't only the female leads get to experience this kind of stuff? We're both villains, aren't we? Don't you think this is unusual?" Humph, still pretending to be innocent. Liam's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Eleanor, how dare you trick me?" "What are you talking about?" I frowned, annoyed. "I have professional ethics, okay? You give me money, I do the job. Those documents, I risked my life trying to get them from Daniel's computer. I even broke up with him because of it. How could they be fake?" Still denying it? Liam freed a hand, opened his phone, and showed me a picture. "Is this what you call breaking up?" I looked closely at the picture. It was from that night when Daniel held me downstairs at the dorms. I couldn't help but blurt out, "Wow, that's a really good angle. It looks great. Can you send it to me privately?" Liam went ballistic, suddenly slamming his foot on the accelerator. The car shot forward like an arrow, making my heart nearly leap out of my chest. "Sorry, I was just kidding," I quickly conceded. "You know Daniel likes me. He's been chasing me, asking me to get back together. Isn't that normal?" Hearing that, the car slowly slowed down. I glanced at him. "So, what exactly do you want?" Liam smirked, a cold smile playing on his lips. "I hope you don't dare to trick me again." His voice was threatening. "Today, I'm going to end things completely with that illegitimate child." His eyes turned to me, hinting at danger. "Of course, if you cooperate well, I won't harm you." If I remembered correctly, the original plot also had a kidnapping scene, but that was near the end, when Daniel had turned the tables and become a legend in the industry. In a lightning-fast move, he'd swallowed up all of the Windsor family's assets, bringing Liam to the brink of bankruptcy. Liam, cornered, kidnapped Daniel's girlfriend at the time, the female lead, Summer Shen. But that was half a year after Daniel and I broke up. So why was I the one being taken now? It was over. The plot had completely gone off the rails. Liam drove me to a secluded cliffside, behind which was a vast ocean, waves gently lapping against the rocks below. About 20 minutes later, Daniel appeared. He stood a distance away, his eyes gentle, as if telling me, "Don't be afraid." Unconsciously, a vague sense of worry rose in my heart. Liam stood beside me, as if he'd gone mad, pointing at Daniel and shouting, "Why are you here? What right do you have to compete with me? Why, even when I have all the documents, do I keep failing again and again? He always says I'm useless. But what's so good about you? What right do you have to have your name in the will? What right do you have to divide the Windsor family's assets? He's clearly a terrible father to me. I don't need them." Daniel looked at Liam with eyes as cold as ice. "What do you want? Just say it." Liam sneered. He took out a small, non-threatening object and gestured towards Daniel. "Either he leaves this place, or you put your trust completely in me." His lips curved maliciously. "Daniel Hayes, you choose. I want to see if you'll still be valued when you follow my lead." I instinctively shook my head, my voice trembling. "Daniel, no." But he had already stepped forward calmly. "You shouldn't have come here," I screamed, tears streaming down my face. "At least not here for me." "There's nothing wrong with it." Daniel's voice was light but firm. "As long as you are, I will be." My nose stung, and tears immediately blurred my vision. "Daniel!" "Eleanor." He looked at me, his eyes deep, his voice slowly, as if carving each word into my heart. "I told you, I love." Tears soaked my face. I asked, my voice trembling, "So if your love changes everything, then what?" "Then let it change," he smiled, his eyes full of tenderness. "I still love you." I laughed through my tears, my voice breaking. "All right," I nodded. "All right." Daniel stepped forward, calmly preparing for whatever Liam would do. I spun around to face Liam, my eyes full of fierce determination. "Liam Windsor, you're mistaken." Without hesitation, I suddenly lunged at him. "Don't think I'm just a weak supporting character. I have enough courage and conviction." Liam, startled, lost his balance. He stumbled backward. In his panic, he reached out and accidentally pushed me. Daniel, seeing this, moved with incredible speed, reaching out and catching me firmly just as I began to fall towards the edge of the cliff. Liam, however, lost his footing and fell backward into the water below with a splash. I heard Daniel's desperate cry echoing in the darkness, "Eleanor!" Click. A sound like an electric current flashed in my head. Immediately after, a familiar mechanical voice. "Host, the system." I gasped, my eyes wide open, but the sound suddenly vanished. The space in my mind returned to silence, as if what I had just heard was merely an illusion. Collecting myself, I found myself still on the cliff, held securely by Daniel. "System, you piece of junk! You finally show your face after I almost fell?" I screamed, my voice full of rage. "I kept calling you before and you never answered. Were you unresponsive or gone?" The system replied, its voice aggrieved. "It's a miscarriage of justice, host. If you want to blame someone, blame your male lead." "Daniel Hayes?" I frowned. "What does this have to do with him?" The system stammered. "This male lead has a problem. He knew about my existence. In the second month of you two living together, he took advantage of you sleeping and discovered my brainwaves. He immediately took control of me to re-educate me." I was stunned. "Aren't you the system? Like the guiding force of this world? How can you be controlled?" The system sighed, its voice mournful. "The system exists in the host's brain, relying on the support code. Theoretically, ordinary people cannot see or interfere with it." At this point, the system sounded like it was about to cry. "But your male lead is not an ordinary person." I quickly asked, "So what now?" "Now, the script is no longer under the system's control. You are free now." "Free? What do you mean?" "It means you can continue to live in this world and do whatever you want." The system paused, its voice sounding as if it was preparing to say goodbye. "As for me, I have to leave." "Where are you going?" "To another world, to guide the next host." I was both amused and a little sad, but I remained silent. The system's voice echoed one last time, growing fainter. "We'll never meet again, host. Even though our time together wasn't long, I will never forget you. And the male lead, my unexpected challenge." I smiled, waving at the empty air. "Goodbye forever, then," I added seriously. "And one more thing. Daniel Hayes isn't just an unexpected challenge. He's the most beautiful dream I've ever had." When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed in a stark white room. My hand was being held by someone. I turned my head and saw Daniel, resting his head by the side of the bed, his eyes closed as if he was taking a quick nap. His shoulder was bandaged, the white gauze stained with faint crimson blood. In my hazy state, the image of what happened before I nearly fell into the ocean flashed in my mind. It seemed he had moved quickly to protect me. I gently moved my fingertips, just a little. He immediately woke up, his eyes wide, filled with worry. But when he saw I was awake, his eyes shone brightly, twinkling like starlight, mingled with tears. "Eleanor!" He leaned down and hugged me, his movements slow and careful, as if afraid of hurting me. I smiled weakly, wrapping my arms around him, gently resting my head on his shoulder. "Daniel," I whispered, my voice soft but each word clear. "I forgot to tell you. I love you too." When Daniel told me he had the ability to read minds, I was completely disbelieving. "From the moment you started approaching me, chasing me, I could hear everything you were thinking in your head. That's how I knew about the system's existence." He chuckled softly. Perhaps this mind-reading ability was a side effect of connecting with the system. My jaw dropped, my brain feeling like it had shut down. After a moment, I stammered, "So, before—" He smiled softly, his eyes full of amusement. "I heard everything. You say one thing, but think another. You're truly adorable." I desperately covered my face, feeling a rush of embarrassment. But then a thought sparked in my mind. I quickly asked, "So, now that the system has left, can you still hear my thoughts?" He tilted his head, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. "I don't know. Let's try." I adjusted my posture, concentrating, thinking in my head. I hope he always stays close to me. Daniel burst into laughter, his eyes sparkling mischievously. Without a word, he just smiled and leaned in closer. Go on, I'm right here. Ah, it's so wonderful. Liam Windsor, for his disruptive behavior and attempts to sabotage, was taken into custody, with legal proceedings awaiting him once he recovered from his unexpected fall into the water.
After Daniel and I officially reconciled, the school forum immediately exploded. An insider revealed that my gold digger persona was merely a staged act. In reality, Daniel and I had collaborated to play out the entire role. The story immediately captivated students, and many quickly revisited their previous insults towards me, even giving us the nickname Mr. and Mrs. Smith of A University. I just chuckled when I heard it. While Daniel focused on his career, I dedicated all my time to studying and developing myself. I considered this my second life. I started learning to draw and returned to playing the piano, passions I had loved but neglected. 2 years later, I graduated smoothly. On graduation day, Daniel was invited back to campus to give a speech as an outstanding young entrepreneur. He stood on stage and personally placed the graduation cap on my head. That evening, he pulled me outside, mysteriously saying he wanted to watch the sunrise with me. We drove to a beautiful mountain just before dawn. Beside it was a small lake with swans gracefully entwined by the shore. Daniel leaned closer, gently expressing his affection. His touch was warm and comforting, and his quiet words deepened our connection, making me feel a wonderful sense of peace and closeness. I smiled, feeling the warmth of the moment. Maybe we should find a more comfortable spot for a moment. We sat there for 2 hours. Inside the car, there was a quiet stillness mingled with shared smiles and comfortable silence. The distant lake reflected the peaceful stillness of the car. The small sounds awakened a few birds in the forest. 2 hours later, I leaned contentedly into Daniel's embrace. He looked at me, a contented smile on his lips. His long fingers gently caressed my cheek, unwilling to let go. I was drowsy, on the verge of falling asleep, when I suddenly felt a cool ring slide onto my ring finger. Daniel leaned down and gently kissed my forehead. "Eleanor, look, the sun's rising." The warm morning light streamed through the windshield, illuminating the peaceful space. I clasped his hand, my eyes sparkling as I watched the sunrise. I murmured, "Another new day, a new day that belongs to us."